Hello everybody, I wanted to take a couple of minutes, show you the class website, show you where to find things on it, and explain how we do things in this class and how we set up our notebooks and things like that. So this is the front of the website. You'll see that there's some colorful tabs along the top. There's a little welcome letter from me. This blue box over here has some commonly used links that you'll use a lot. Let's start with the calendar. Normally there would be a pretty basic calendar here, but due to being remote teaching this year, we need a little more detail. So this link here, the one-stop shop, is going to take you to a document that looks like this. It has some general information about your class. It has some links to go to some commonly used websites that we'll use this year. There's some bookmarks, so you don't have to scroll. You can just click on the week that you want. A brief overview of how we set up our notebooks and our binders. And then you'll see the information of what we did in class each day and what your homework is each night. So there will be links on here to things you'll need. It'll show you everything we did in class and anything that might need to be homework. It'll also have some comments and some explaining from me. At the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the semester, you'll see a lot more detail. And then as we go and you get used to how we do things, I won't have to leave as many comments here. But if you're ever absent or you need to go back and relook at the classwork, this is where you would go to do it. If you're ever unsure of what the requirements are, you can click the links, takes you to the assignments, things like that. Next, the Honors Chem tab. This is the main place for your class. Your 3-ring binder is going to have these sections. There's reference sheets, study materials, current rainbow packet, which are the worksheets that we're currently doing. Old rainbow packets are the ones from previous chapters, and you should have a section of binder paper and graph paper. So the reference sheets are broken up by chapter, and you can see that there's all sorts of things here. Here's a list of conversion factors, for example, things you don't necessarily need to memorize but are useful. Gives you some summary sheets where I try to put a bunch of info all on one page for you. I can give you some graphics and equations and things like that. The study materials are things that you might want to do to get ready for quizzes and tests. Anything we're currently working on would go in the current rainbow packet section. So here you can see that this is chapter 6. Here are the worksheets for the chapter. You can click them and open up the worksheets if you need them. There's also answer keys that you can click to check your work, which is super important for this class. You have to check your work and make sure you're on the right track. So this will load up some folders and you can look at the actual keys for the worksheets. Okay. If you ever want to go back to an old chapter, you just go to the old rainbow packet section. The reason they're called rainbow packets is if we were in class, I would be giving you cover pages that would color code to the colors of the rainbow, and that's how everything is kind of organized, is by color coding. So that's why they're called rainbow packets. You'll take your notes and do your warm-ups in the composition notebook. So in a composition notebook, this will explain that you put your warm-ups, you do, your class notes. It will show you how to set up your warm-ups, how you set up your notes, how things are graded, right? So all that information is here. There's some photos from my example notebook. It's a good idea to spend some time looking at this section. The table of contents, notes, and warm-ups. This shows you every single thing that should be in your composition book. So if you're ever absent, you can come and click and you can get PDFs of all of the notes. If you scroll to the end, there will be a link for me going over the PowerPoint as a YouTube video, just like if you were in class. That way you can hear all of my comments and me explaining things. Okay. Link to the warm-ups is up here if you're ever absent for a warm-up. The other place you can go if you're ever absent for a warm-up is on the front page here. I link to the document that we use every day in class is a set of Google Slides. They'll be organized by week, and what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see anything that we did in class together, any announcements, any reminders, any agendas. So you can see here agenda for the day, and then I maybe go through what we did in class. I might go over what's for homework, remind people to use that one-stop shop, right? Maybe I show you how you're going to set up your notes one day. We may do some check-in questions to make sure everybody's on track. So this document will be very helpful if you're ever absent or you want to go back and re-look for old warm-ups or things like that. Okay. The Labs tab has some generic information. It is important to go over this, but we won't be doing labs physically this year, so there may be things that are a little different than normal. The resources section has links to like digital textbooks. My YouTube channel is here. You can print periodic tables. There's lots of links to other people's websites. There's some practice by topics over here, practice exams, videos. There's silly songs you can watch. Lots of extra stuff here. About Your Chem class has some of the nuts and bolts like the syllabus and what are you supposed to bring every day. So you can look at that. And then the pink tab at the end just has a little bit about me. I grew up in Half Moon Bay. I went to college and grad school in Oregon. After grad school, I took some time off and went to culinary school, which was really fun. And then once that was finished, I was able to start teaching at Doherty. And then I've kind of been here ever since. So that's a little bit about me on that pink tab. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my teacher example notebook. So I'm going to use that as a way to show you how we take our notes. Remember that the reference section explains all of that. There's some information here, how to set up your notes and your warm-ups. It's a good idea to go through and read all of those and get all the little details. But I think seeing my teacher copy will make things a little bit more obvious. So we'll switch over to that. You'll have a composition book. Okay. If you can't get one and you need one from me, then just do your work on binder paper, and when you come to the pickup day for your materials, then you can just glue everything into here and just transfer it. Okay. We'll do this together. We'll make it like an all about me page. I like using little Post-its, cut it into strips as like tabs. Then I can kind of like tab whatever I feel like. You don't have to do that, but just make it work for you. If you like the tabs, go ahead. Page 2, we'll do some safety notes. We'll do some warm-ups. When you do a warm-up, you have to title it. You write out your answers, show any work if there's math involved. In between assignments, you're going to draw a highlighter line going all the way across your page. That way it's super obvious where one assignment is and where the next one starts and the next one starts. You do not need to start a new assignment on a new page. Just put a highlighter line and keep going. Save your space. It does not need to start on a new paper every time. When we take our notes, they're going to be titled N1, N2, N3. So notes number 1, notes number 2, notes number 3. We'll have a really big title. You'll take your notes however you want. If you wanted to print the glue in, you would just, trim it and glue it in there. You can make little Post-its with extra practice and things. At the end of every set of notes, what you have to do is called KCDQ boxes. You draw 3 boxes. One stands for key terms, connections, and questions. Key terms are like vocab words or phrases or equations. Connections are connections to things you already know. It could be something you learned in science class. It could be something you learned in another class. It could be something you watched on the news or you read in a book. Anything that's specific. Please don't write 7th grade science class or biology class. That's not specific. That's not a true connection. What they've found is that if you can make different connections to various things in your brain, when your body and mind is in a stressful situation like taking a quiz or taking a test, you'll be able to reach out in your brain and access the information much faster and better than you normally would. So even though it might feel a little bit random to be filling out this connection box, if it helps us access the information in our brain better and faster, and it helps us do better on our quizzes and our tests, that's a great thing. The question box needs 2 questions. You do not have to answer them. They've shown that the benefit to our information retention and our test scores and class grades, that benefit comes from writing the questions. You don't have to answer them. You need to have what's called level 1 and either a level 2 or 3 question. So a level 1 question is basic. It's like a definition, right? What is the base for math? So that's a definition. I could point to the answer somewhere in my notebook. The next question you write needs to be a slightly more involved question. You need to be thinking about the information. You need to explain something. You have to connect something to, a different topic or comparing and contrasting something. So I will help you a little bit with how to write good questions in your notes. You can see here, I finished my notes. I did a highlighter across, and the next day I did my new warm-up. I did a highlighter, started my notes. Another thing you should notice is that I've added little color annotations to my notes, haven't I? So this is a really important thing. It is required. It is not optional. You can either do them while you're taking the notes, or you can do them afterwards. Some people like to write their notes in multiple color pens. Some people like to do it afterwards. But you need to go back and make sure that you're adding in little comments and notes and, exclamation point or a star, boxes, things that help our brain tag and notice the information that we have, okay? Please do not get hung up on trying to make it pretty. Sometimes I have people who try to spend 2 hours drawing beautiful little pictures in their notebook. And that's great. If you like it and it's fun and you have the time and it's your hobby, that's fabulous. But that's not the intention of the assignment. The intention of the assignment is to use brain research to help us do better in our class. So please make sure that, you're keeping the intention of the assignment in mind. I think calling it color annotations really helps remind us of what the purpose is. You can see I did some more little flippies in, these little glue-ins. Sometimes my KCQ boxes might be really long. This set of notes has a lot of vocabulary. Some don't have very much. So please don't draw your boxes ahead of time. Please fill them out and make them as big as they need to be. Another thing is, please don't squish your notes all really close together. Our brain really needs to have visual blank space between concepts and ideas, and that helps the visual part of our brain retain information. It kind of gives your brain a picture. If you write really tiny on every single line and you squish all of your notes really close together, there is no visual for your brain to latch onto. So please give it space. You have more than enough space in a composition book for the whole school year. I have only once in all my years of teaching had someone go through 2 composition books, and that person wrote bigger than anyone I've ever seen, okay? So please don't feel like you have to save space. If you run out of space, I will get you another composition book, okay? I would rather you use the space that you have. So I'm just going to flip through, and you can kind of see there are pictures of, you know, my notebook online, like I showed you. Right, hopefully you can kind of get an idea of what these notes look like. You can see I give myself lots of space. Okay. In the back, here's something I like to do. I like to glue in like a little reference sheet for me to look at. I like to print a really small periodic table and glue it in so that I can like flip it up and then go back to my notes and I can see it. And that way it's not falling off the table or something. It's kind of always accessible. I can't forget it anywhere either. I also like to, in the back, make a little pocket. And I'll put like a Ziploc bag in here with all my glue-ins for the week so that I don't have to cut everything, you know, every day. I can just do it like on a Sunday night and then put them in my pocket for the week. And that way I don't lose them. So I like to show you those ideas, not because you have to do them, but because I want to show you that you can really customize this to work for you. If you're going to add extras like this, please do it in the back. That way, you know, when we go to grade your notebook and stuff, everything is going to kind of match the order that I did mine in. Okay? Well, I know that's so much information. I hope that by making it into a video that you can kind of go and watch it at your own pace, pause it, take a break, rewatch it if you need to. I hope that you guys have a wonderful first day. I hope you have a great second day. Hopefully all your Google logins work and your classes are correct and your Zoom accounts are working and that all your passwords you know and everything goes smoothly as possible. And, you know, if not, day 2 will go a little bit better. And if not, we got the weekend to reset, take a break, and then, you know, start week 2 off. It'll eventually calm down and it'll be fine. Okay? So have a great first week, and I will see you on Zoom soon. Bye, everybody.